we have Uri Goldshtein. You may have heard of Uri. Might have seen him a couple times around the conference so far, but I'll introduce him again. He's the CEO of the Guild, and he's going to talk about GraphQL everywhere, how GraphQL is being used in places you never thought were possible. So welcome, Uri.
Hi again, everyone. So yesterday I was speaking a bit about like all the new innovations and all the things that we've done and that are being introduced in this conference to improve our own community, to improve GraphQL, and like you saw many things that will make GraphQL do more things and make the things that GraphQL does much easier and much better. But today I actually want to talk about once we get all those innovations, how can it affect actually the broader community than GraphQL? Like maybe there's, maybe we can affect and take all of these ideas into a broader community and affect and improve more people with the things that are happening here. So I'm going to use, in order to get like tell the story of my points, I'm going to bring basically 4 open source libraries that we've built, but I'll also talk about the alternatives because I'm going to speak about what they're doing as an idea and as a concept, and there's others that are doing the same. And then I'm going to combine all these abilities into another thing or a bigger idea. Yesterday I gave a talk about GraphQL Mesh. It's a library that we built that we basically can take any API protocol or any source and generate GraphQL automatically from it. And we're not the only ones. There's Azura is doing the same, Wondergraph is doing the same, and even we have a talk today from Wix that they built their own engine and they took all their internal gRPC APIs and they exposed it to their partners. Which is, I highly recommend you to go to that talk as well. And there's many things we can do with that once we take basically any API and we turn it into a GraphQL API. So think about the concept of it right now. Like we can take any source, feed it into a configuration and basically get it as a GraphQL representation. I'm not going to do the whole talk that I gave yesterday. I recommend you to watch it if you want. You can double the speed so you don't need to listen to me too much. So that's like the idea of GraphQL Mesh, and like I said, there's many other alternatives. We can then do whatever we want and like take all kinds of toolings of GraphQL and use it in the context of APIs that are not GraphQL, like merging those APIs together and many things like that. Another tool and another concept is we can do also the other way around. We have a tool called SOFA that basically takes, let's say you've built your GraphQL server and you have a schema. We can actually examine and introspect your schema in your server, and we can generate OpenAPI and a REST server from it. So think about this as a concept, right? We can take any API and turn it into GraphQL, and we can take GraphQL and turn it into other API. Okay, so that's setting the stage for 2 of the ideas. Now, during this conference, you'll find out about a lot of cool GraphQL tools that you can use from the Guild and from many others. And one of the powerful, for the idea of it, I'll give one example. Like we all talk about how easy it is and how many powerful tools we get around versioning of GraphQL schemas and versioning our APIs with GraphQL. We can manage versions, we can prevent breaking changes, and we can even do that when we're looking at live data. GraphQL Inspector is one open source tool that does that statically. It just takes 2 versions of your schema and identifies the breaking changes. You can use it in your CI. It also can statically run and analyze all your queries from your source code and then give you like a schema coverage, like tells you what things in your schema that you're not using. So this is a cool tool, but then we can do even better, and we can add live data to it. And we have Hive, but also we have Apollo Studio that does that. We have Cosmo and many other, and also Banana Cake Pop. So as a community, we build a lot of really powerful tools to monitor our API, to do schema checks, to prevent breaking changes, to look at the history of changes and integrate that into our CI/CD pipeline. So we're pretty spoiled, basically, as a GraphQL community. And during this conference, you're hearing more and more about like how spoiled we are. So we can turn any API into GraphQL. We can turn GraphQL into any API. We have a bunch of cool tools as a GraphQL community. Then something in addition to that is, as the guild, we started like building more and more tools actually for the REST API ecosystem. This is FETs. This is just one example. Like we look at FETs as like the easiest way today to create a REST server with TypeScript and also to consume REST API with TypeScript. And as we went and built this tool, because we needed to, in my talk yesterday, I explained why we had so many interactions with, older APIs. We started going to speaking to the ecosystem of REST APIs and other API providers. And when we were there, we had, I don't know if many of you know this commercial, but it was kind of like, we were there and we were like, they had those toolings, and then we looked at our toolings, and then we looked at their toolings, and we looked at our toolings, and we said, like, what if they had our toolings? So if we now take this idea that GraphQL can basically, like any API can be GraphQL, we went with that concept, and what we started doing is actually integrate we worked with actually REST API teams, and in their CI pipelines, we actually took their API, any API, and we made them available and we made the GraphQL toolings and the whole GraphQL ecosystem available for the REST API teams. And to be honest, it wasn't our idea. It's actually other people in that ecosystem that did that, and we learned from them. So my main point for today, for this short talk, is just what if everything we're building here and everything we are consuming here, let's look at all the amazing stuff that we have as an ecosystem and tools, and what if every GraphQL tool and every GraphQL concept and every GraphQL feature could actually be a feature in any API and not just GraphQL. And that comes back to the point of what I said yesterday. We're just getting started. But we're not getting just started because we have so much innovation happening inside GraphQL. We can now very easily, and with many other vendors here that are doing the same things, we can take any API and bring the GraphQL concepts, ideas, and tools there as well. That's it for me. Thank you.